Performance interviews. Today I'm joined by Marla Press from Colorado. Welcome, Marla.
Thank you so much for having me, Lucy. I'm so excited to talk with you.
Me too. I'm really thrilled that you've been able to spend the time out of your business and come across and talk. So, I'd like to introduce you first to our listeners. Marla is the founder and speaker. Marla is founder of Speakers on Fire Academy, is a public speaking coach, life coach, and art of presence trainer. And she coaches you to wow every room so that you magnetically attract more clients and wealth. Marla's mission is to help you to speak so that people listen. So she offers group programs and one-to-one training, combining her psychology degree, energy work, and intense intuition. And she personalizes results just for you. Beginners and experienced speakers alike get transformation immediately. And so, Marla, what I would love to do is to ask you your background and how you came to do what you're doing now. So, if you can give us a little bit of an insight to that, that would be amazing.
Yes, thanks for asking. So it was zip, 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 pivot, pivot, pivot. There was no straight line. It was a little crazy and wild, but hey, sometimes life is like that, right? I'm sure some of the listeners out there can relate to that. And I welcome all of your comments. We'd love for you to participate. We are going live here, although I know some of you are going to watch the replay. But I started out, my first love was in the arts. I wanted to be a writer or a choreographer. And so I did a lot with theater and loved theater. I was in musical theater constantly. So I was used to being on a stage from a very young age. But my other love was psychology, just figuring out how people tick and how, behavior patterns. And, I could see so much happening with people and just wanted to really study that clinical psychology. So that's what I got my degree in. And later on, I was doing some pretty serious therapy for people, working on eating disorders and abuse and relationships and all kinds of things. Later on, I got certified as a life coach. So I did bring that back into my life at some point. But I pivoted quite a bit, went on, a pathway for a long time. And I became a dental hygienist for a while, which I know, right? Like, what?
Come on.
Choreography, writing, and what? I know it. Like I said, really kind of a crazy pivot. But my stepfather was a dentist. My mother was a dental hygienist. I grew up working in their office in high school, and so it was kind of a natural thing for me to do because I couldn't be a choreographer right away or a writer right away. And psychology, it was challenging to really develop that practice at the level I was at. So I pivoted. But the great thing about dental hygiene is you can do it part-time. So I always did it part-time. And then I had all these other adventures. I wrote books. I did the therapy for people. I did life coaching for people. And I did practice management consulting for dentists and doctors for a while. So I spoke around the country promoting my services. And what I realized was I was entertaining and comfortable on stage, but I was lousy at connecting to the audience. And yes. So this is a huge part of what I teach is you have to entertain, you have to be exciting, you have to grab attention, you have to keep attention, but you also have to have this authentic energy that connects people. And that's what I had to learn because that didn't come natural for me. And I could, if we had more time, I'd go into a big, long story about that, but we're not going to go into that. But let's just say that I discovered something called the art of feminine presence. And now we just call it the art of presence because we include men and women both. But that's where I learned how to be more authentic, how to be in my body. I was not in my body. I was in my head all the time, very analytical. I took a lot of science. I was just always a thinker, but I wasn't, there was a lot of reasons why I wasn't in my body. And for a lot of women, this is true for them too. And for a lot of people, a lot of men too, they're just not in their bodies. They're in their heads. Their energy is all up here. And so when they communicate, it's from this intellectual place and it's not connecting.
Mm. Yeah. More information than inspiration, I would imagine.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so I learned the art of presence and then embodied that and took that in. And there's 45 different practices in the art of presence. So it's a very comprehensive program. I got certified at the highest level to teach it. And then I put all of that together, my psychology background, my stage presence, and the art of presence, and created this phenomenal speaker program that helps people not on stage or in a Zoom room, but in their personal lives as well.
I was going to say it always overflows, doesn't it? Because it can overflow into work. It can overflow if you're an entrepreneur, like you say, into personal life. And when you are feeling it in your body, it's for yourself as well, right? It's not just for anybody else. Presumably that affects you, the person, just for you. Would you say that's true, Marla?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This changes your life. It changes your communication with your spouse, with your kids. It brings more joy. It's more joyful. It's more authentic. It's calming. It's so much better to be in your body versus in your head, but we're not used to it. We're in the information age and we're bombarded with information. So we're stuck up there. And you can't even say, all right, be more present now. You can't intellectually make yourself be more present. So what's the beauty of the art of presence is all of these experiential exercises. So I take people through visualizations and different kinds of experiential exercises and energy work where they get how to be in their bodies. They experience it and then it stays with them. And yeah, you have to practice just like an athlete has to practice and condition themselves. You have to condition yourself to be there more often, and especially before you speak. But it's again, you have to learn the exercises. You can't just say, well, I'm going to do it now.
But that goes for so many things, right? If it's your old normal is in here, you want your new normal to be in your body and feeling things and experiencing things, then absolutely you have to keep on practicing and making sure that it becomes your new normal, your natural. And so it sounds like you're taking through, and I work very, you can see on the screen here, holistic. I'm very holistic, and it sounds like a really holistic experience, which is one of the things I think we connected so well, apart from the fact that we were both choreographers. I was never a dental hygienist though. However, the holistic approach, when you are looking at the whole person and feeling from the whole person and speaking from your toes right up to the top of your head, right, then you're getting that, like you say, it's that authenticity, which is a word that's thrown around quite a lot these days. Be more authentic. So what would you say that authenticity means to you, Marla, when you're explaining it to your students?
Yes. So it's really the essence of who you are. And again, you almost have to experience it to know the difference, and you can experience it from someone else. So I take people through before and afters. I say, okay, tell me your marketing message, and they do. And then I take them through the exercise, and then they speak again from this place, and everybody in the room notices a huge transformation. So there really is a big difference. And, in our minds, it's partly where, being intellectual versus, being full bodied, but it's also, you've got your critical mind and your to-do list, and you're thinking about the past, and you're thinking about how what you're doing is affecting the future, and do people like you, and all this stuff comes in there and it gets all discombobulated. And then, the communication is tainted with that. So when you speak from your essence, all of that kind of goes away. And it's so special. It's really, I call this speaking from not just your heart, because a lot of speaking coaches will say, speak from the heart, not the head, and connect to people's hearts. And yes, I absolutely encourage speaking from the heart, but my exercises take people not only through their heart, but through their, I call it home space. We used to call it womb space when we dealt with just women. But then when we're working with men too, then it's the home space, which is also just a lovely term. It's where you're truly home. It's the essence of who you are. You're not your identity. You're not what you've done, even the good things you've done. It's this essence that you can't put into words. And when you connect to that and your heart, magic happens.
Mm. So that when we said at the beginning, when I was introducing you, it was an immediate transformation. And it is, and it sounds like it is really immediate once you take them through those exercises, or even just one of the exercises.
Yes.
And saying the thing again. How do people describe the difference that they hear when they hear the before and the after?
Great question. So what happens is, number one, it's calmer, it's more grounded, it's more emotional. And that doesn't mean sadness. It just has this emotional content to it. It could be, just this connective energy. It could be sadness. It could be happy and joy. It could be, the emotion of what people really want. And so it has this emotional content. It becomes more about the other person. So typically when people first do their marketing messages, hi, I'm Marla Press. I'm founder of Speakers on Fire Academy, and I'm a speaking coach, and I help you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, that's the old way of doing things. Instead, it's, what do you want to give to others? What do you want to, what's the change you want to see in others? What's the transformation you want to see? How do you really help people? How are they going to feel when you help them? It's that content change. And then it's also the energetic change of the authentic energy. And I know, like you said, authenticity, it's an overused word, but I think they said it was for 2024, the most searched word. And yes, it's still very, very much something that people are searching for and want to learn how to do. But we're like, what does it really mean? And how do we do it?
Exactly. Yeah. What does authenticity mean? And I think I'm being authentic. I can only be me, right? But when you're truly in, like you say, it's in that space and in your body. I love the way you explain that. And in your home, that's like that gut area, your room area. And when you're really coming from that place, there's no expectations by the sounds of it. You're not thinking about other stuff that if you were in your head still, are they liking me? Are they enjoying this? None of that's going on. All that's shut off.
Yes.
And that's what it sounds to me like it's like. And it's a more peaceful way of presenting.
Absolutely. Yes. And as you know, public speaking is still the number one fear after decades and decades and decades. It's still number one. People, even experienced speakers, still have some anxiety when it comes to speaking, and especially in a new situation, they would have some anxiety. And so this really helps with that. And other speaking coaches will say, oh, if you're feeling anxious, it's this, your brain doesn't know the difference between anxiety and excitement. I don't buy into that. We know the difference, and our bodies know the difference. Our brain might have some of the same reactions, but again, if we're coming from our whole body and our whole being, I would rather work through the anxiety than try and reframe it and say it's something that it's really not. I mean, people have a good reason to be anxious. You're being judged, you're being scrutinized. That's what happens when you put yourself out there, but it's okay. And how to be, how to have unwavering confidence is something I work on too. So I don't just do the embodiment exercise. I do so much for speakers. We work on a lot of energy exercises. So just one more, I'll briefly just mention that's so helpful is how to receive your audience. Because I know you work with mostly women, right, Lucy?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
And especially women, but even men, we're taught to give and we're not good at receiving. We're not good at receiving attention. We're not good at receiving compliments. We're not good at even receiving other people because of this. And so the energetic exercises helps you to receive your audience, and they can feel it when you're receiving them. Even on a podcast, or when I can't see my audience, I still receive them. I have this intention of receiving, and it makes a big difference when you're a speaker. And then I do simple, I shouldn't say simple, but it's kind of simple. So an exercise, for example, how to say more with less, because most people over explain. They use too many words. They use jargon. They speak too fast. And we think, that makes you exciting and interesting. And we're used to, on television or on the news or, whatever it is, people speak fast now. But even if you're an intelligent, receptive being, it's hard to take in too much information because we're already so bombarded with it. So when you speak slower, you grab attention. People can listen better, and it lands better. Pauses are powerful, and speaking with intention, where you chunk your material and you don't over explain, makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yes. And it's so interesting you say that with the pausing. It's allowing that to kind of percolate and sink in. It's like, oh yeah, I get what she's saying. I understand what she means. And you're giving them time, not going on to something else and rushing on to the next idea that's coming out of your head, or I've got to keep them interested. It's just like, no. There was somebody, and I can't remember his name, who said, I wrote a long letter because I didn't have the time to write a short one. Because it takes a talent to put what you really want to say, all that stuff, into something that's compact. And that's what you're talking about in the speaking world, not the writer's world. But it's the same thing. Those words, if every one of those words and those ideas hit your audience, it doesn't need to be huge and long and over explained.
Yeah.
As long as you're making it compact. So with the end result in mind with your students, and I know, how long have you been doing this, Marla, with your course, speaking of that?
About 5 years.
5 years. Wow. So I'm sure you've got tons and tons of testimonials, and the experience that they then have once they go out speaking again on stage. Tell us some of the, is there a story that you could particularly share about somebody that got the fantastic result at the end?
Yeah, well, like you said, there's so many. So for some, it's really getting that unwavering confidence, because I tell people, even a little lack of confidence, it may not be verbalized by your audience, but they will sense it, and then they don't trust you, and they're not going to buy from you. So you have to have that confidence. It's not conceit. It's not selfish. It's showing people that you are their solution, and you're confident in that, so that they can have confidence in you and build trust, because you got to have that when you're a coach. So some of it is people that were so anxious and really terrible speakers, and then they got this real powerful confidence that was just so attractive. And then for other people, so one of the things I work on, and we were just talking about saying more with less, is the 1 minute talk. The 1 minute, people go, what? I can't, 1 minute. But when you do a lot of networking, which as a business owner, you really need to do, and you usually get 1 minute to talk. That's it, 1 minute. And to promote yourself, to tell people who you are, to get them excited, 1 minute. So I work a lot with people on how to develop a compelling 1 minute story. So there's been people that, they go to networking groups, and, they're likable and people are a little interested, but they're not taking them up on their free offer because it's just not exciting enough. It's not enough. And so when I give them this 1 minute speech, the next time they go to speak, they all of a sudden they get all these people signing up for their offer because it's so much better. and that, gets them clients immediately. And that's really the end result, is you're going to magnetically, authentically attract more clients, and you're going to build your business faster with less stress and more joy, and have more wealth.
Love the sound of that. I love the joy bit as well. Joy is one of my favorite words. If you're not having joy, and that comes across if you're joyful and you're happy, and again, it's an authentic thing. But if you're wanting to help people and you truly do, then that's definitely going to come across. So that's phenomenal. Okay, so you have your own business. How do you take care of yourself? How do you recover from your business? And perhaps you work out, do you meditate, do you journal? How do you do that for you, for your time? Because that's really important, that you recharge, ready for your students and ready for everything else that happens in life.
Yes. Yeah, this is an important question, because it's stressful being an entrepreneur. And even if you work in someone else's business, you do a lot of speaking, and you're a team leader, or even just on a team, it can be stressful. So guess what one of my favorite things to do is?
Dance.
Yes.
Because it's one of my favorites too.
I thought, she might be able to guess this, actually. Yes, my favorite thing to do is dance. And, I go out dancing a lot, but I dance in my living room. Yeah. And it brings me so much joy. The expression, dance like no one's watching. Yeah, I dance like no one's watching, even sometimes when they are watching. But my second favorite thing is to go hiking. So I live in Colorado. I live in a place where there is a gazillion beautiful hiking trails. I'm at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. So I love going on hikes, and I love being in nature. So that's my second favorite thing to do. And I'm an introvert. And so I love my alone time. And that's important to me. I got to have my alone time. And that's another way that I recharge.
So in your alone time, are you just quietly sitting, or are you journaling, or are you reading, or is that all sorts of different things that you're doing?
It is all sorts of different things. I don't do much journal. I used to journal, and I haven't done that for many years, but I do all kinds of things. But the important thing is that it's, I'm not interacting with people. I'm not using that type of energy. And as an introvert, that's important for me. So I love people. I'm around people a lot, and I would miss that if I didn't have that. But I also need my downtime where I'm not interacting with people.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the big things about being an introvert. We have to have that space.
Yes.
That's it. We're not being unsociable. We just need to have our time for ourselves. So no, that's fantastic, because recovering, especially active recovery, like the dancing and the hiking, is so important. So if our listeners are thinking, I've got so much to do, and I need to be working on this, and I've got to work on my speaking, and I've got to do this and that and the XYZ factor, you still have to make time for yourself. It's so, so important to be able to stop and to recharge, to be able to do things better and faster and in less time. Yeah. And so I love finding out what other people do, but we're just so in tune. It's like, I love walking in nature. I love dancing. I like my own time. It's like, oh my goodness, Marla.
Well, so on live video here, that's being broadcast to many places, I'm going to do my guilty confession.
Oh, go ahead.
So
what's it going to be?
One of the things I love to do to recharge is and I'm not a watch TV kind of person. I don't normally watch TV at all, but I love watching The Voice, the show The Voice. And it's funny because almost everything they tell and I put this in one of my, I talk about this a lot in my speeches. Everything they tell the singers is the same thing I tell my speakers. You have to connect emotionally to your words, to the lyrics of the song in that case, right? You have to entertain, but not always be at this high level. You have to also come down. You have to vary your energy. You have to connect to the audience. You want to, you can't look at the whole audience, but you can look in someone's eyes in the audience and everyone will feel it. You can, you have to have some stage presence. You can't just stand still. Your body language is. So there's like so many things. I'm like, yes, I could be a judge on The Voice. Absolutely. And, again, with my musical theater background, I just love hearing, they have very high quality. Almost everybody's a good singer. So it's just so lovely to hear these voices. And so that's a guilty pleasure. And sometimes that's how I unwind.
I think that's fantastic. And it had to be, didn't it? The Voice for our public speaker coach. So fantastic. So we're coming to the end of the interview now, Marla. What would your 3 top tips be for somebody who's thinking, I would really love to be a speaker, but I'm so nervous. I really don't know where to start. What would you say to that person who's listening here going, oh, no, I really couldn't do it, but gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if I could?
Yes, it would be amazing. Your message is important. You are important. And if you have any sense that you want to put yourself out there, whether you want to be inspirational speaker or especially if you own your own business, it is essential that you put yourself out there. So hire a coach. If you don't connect with me and resonate with me, totally cool, but have someone help you with speaking techniques, with confidence, and with energy. Hopefully you find someone that helps you with your energy, because it is 70% of our communication. Our words are 10%. So most of our communication is this quality of your energy. It's not high versus low. It's the quality of your energy. And you have to work on your words. There's so much to it. Hire a coach. That's number 1. Number 2 is that once you do this embodiment exercise, a lot of that fear is going to go away and your communication is going to be so much better, because it's from this authentic place that is very calming and comforting. So, that's the other thing. And then, be yourself. That's number 3. So I don't say, hey, be like this great speaker over here, or try and emulate this speaker over here. There's certain things about their business trajectory you might want to emulate. But I say a huge exercise we didn't talk about that I take people through is, what personality quality are you holding back? Because a lot of speakers go out there and they just are stoic because they want to be seen as competent and confident and an expert. And then they're not themselves and they're not interesting. So be yourself. And I help bring that out. So, how you are in the rest of your life, how can you bring some of those qualities back into your speaking so you're interesting, so you feel good, and so your business just ignites and is fired up and successful.
Yeah. Oh, I love that last one. And it's that part of being authentic as well, right?
Yeah.
That I like the hidden part of yourself that you're not showing. Ooh.
Yes. Be quirky. Show yourself. Yes. That makes you interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're cantankerous, show that you're cantankerous. Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, an amazing interview. Thank you so much, Marla. If you want to connect with Marla, we've got the calendar link going across here. There'll be details around the podcast, around the video, whichever way you're watching or listening to this. And it's wonderful that you've taken the time out of your business to share what you do with us, because it's been a great interview. I've really enjoyed it, Marla. So we'll connect another time, I'm sure, and we'll say goodbye to our audience. Thank you very much for listening and tuning in.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you all for listening and for watching the replay. We'd still love to hear your comments. And yes, at the bottom there, you see the bettercallmarla.com gives you a couple choices of being on my calendar. So I would love to have a chat with you. And, we could go through an exercise or two so you can really get what it's all about and see that it can absolutely apply to you. And then Lucy, I love what you do. You help so many women that I'm going to put your calendar link here too, so people know how to get a hold of you, because what you have to offer is so valuable, and the holistic approach is absolutely in alignment with what I do and what I believe and what really does help people.
Yeah.
So go ahead, connect with Lucy, connect with me. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye now. Thanks, Marla.
Bye.